Yeah, thank you, Emma. Thanks everybody for hanging out for a few minutes, and it's a real honor to get to know you and meet you. And some of you I've met before, but it's exciting to storytell and share stories. My path to West Cave is definitely different. I have an undergraduate degree in economics. I'm a lawyer. I practiced for about 15 years and then became a public school teacher. And the progression is really through this idea of economics through the lens of a societal value system, law, and how we codify our values as a society, and then education, how we gain and learn those values. And the farther I got into that sort of value analysis, the more I gravitated towards conservation and and what that means for me, and as our greatest um, lens to achieve equitable societal success and individual empowerment and community building. And so conservation for me is sort of a three prong analysis. The first is we start with our individual human journey, this lens of wellness. And from wellness, we move to health. And from health, we move to this other element of our humanness, where we are social in nature and we enjoy recreation and playing around and splashing in water and exploring. And then the second thing is more of an equitable access lens. And if we want people to fall in love with things and they'll only take care of things that they know and love, then we have to make sure that they have access to those. And historically, there's been lots of folks who either were excluded or specifically not invited to participate in some of those stories. And so there has to be an intentional effort to reconcile some of that historical piece. And then the third thing is that, access is not enough. West Cave as a preserve, if you guys have been out here, if you've looked at it on Instagram and seen the pictures, it's freakishly beautiful. It doesn't look like anything else in Central Texas. But for about 20 or 30 years in the mid 1900s, it was a trespasser's paradise, and people came down and did that recreation and maybe some procreation side of our human journey in this beautiful spot, and they kind of loved it to death. They haul their stuff down and wouldn't haul it out, and so it's been a 50-year effort at conservation restoration, giving it the time, space, and resources it needed to heal and become the thing that it is today. And that's the same thing that's required of humans: time, space, and resources and support. We work with the city and school districts and other nonprofits and healthcare providers and a broad number of partners to help do some movement building and some field building, to work sometimes directly with historically underrepresented or marginalized populations, and sometimes to support the other people who are in the field. And you go, man, it's just a plow uphill sometimes just to keep the nonprofits and things going. And we need to provide space to be professional and network and have tacos on a Tuesday morning and some things to do on a Thursday evening sometimes. And so we kind of serve as a professional hub, and also as a sort of advocate, a big advocate in the whole movement. And in 2017, before me, the Cinca program was responsible for getting the city of Austin to pass what's known as the Austin's Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights. And it basically says that all kids, should have the right and the ability to climb a tree, catch a fish, ride a bike, swim in a lake, and all those things that we sometimes take for granted. And a lot of kids don't have that access. And so that's one of the big successes. There's also a position at the city of Austin in the Parks Department that West Cave wrote some catalytic grant through that Cinca program a couple of years ago and got that position up and running that's dedicated to connecting kids to nature. And so adding more park space, doing more in that arena, and sort of serving as a home for folks in this work about, who are interested in connecting kids to nature and that better future.
I have a question. Hi, Trevor. Good to talk to you again.
You too.
So I follow a lot of hiking around Austin and Central Texas accounts on Instagram, and I've noticed a lot of influencers have been out at the preserve taking pictures and stuff. has that brought more business out to you guys and more donations and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and thanks. Yeah, we do, and it has, and you guys do a great job, with media and messaging as well. So I follow what you guys are sending out to sort of help craft our messages sometimes, and I'll send a note to Emma and I'll say, hey, what do you know about this? And so I like what y'all do, but we're fortunate in that we have a real pretty spot, and we got a phone call about a little over a year ago from a guy who runs an account called Hike Austin. And he called and he said, hey, I want to bring some photographers out. And we said, okay, do that. Said, what's Hike Austin? And he said, well, I've got some followers on my account. And we said, well, then do that. And so he came out and he brought some folks. And then we talked over the summer. And he actually wound up joining the board here at West Cave. And as his platform has grown, ours has grown as well. But we recently there's a filmmaker named Ben Masters who made a film a few years ago called The River and the Wall that is kind of about that story that was a big deal back in the 2016 presidential campaign for sure. And Ben's an amazing cinematography based filmmaker. And so he grabbed some folks and cameras and bikes and canoes, and they went down to the border and made a award-winning film about that. And he's making another film now it's kind of a 5-star blue chip film about nature in Texas. And West Cave is one of the spots he filmed. And so, it's definitely raised our profile of awareness. I think that West Cave's almost 50 years old, and there's a lot of people who've lived here for a long time that have never been here and never heard of it. We're only a mile from Hamilton Pool Road, but a lot of people don't know that. And so we're across the river, and most folks make it to Hamilton Pool, which is Travis County Park, and have not made it to West Cave. So it's the social media element has definitely helped us a lot.
How many of us on the call right now have been to West Cave Preserve? By a show of hands. I'm the only one. We need to have at some point, a team building event at West Cave.
Yeah, we'd love to have you. We have our space. We're about 100 acres, and there's our hike down into the grotto, the waterfall. It's a 40-foot waterfall into this beautiful blue, plunge pool that's 26 feet deep at the bottom, and you can walk behind the waterfall, and it's lush and green.